All right, let's look at our last lesson for this week, which is lesson 11, conditionals. That's where we're going to start using those true false statements to make the program do something basically automatically because it's in the coding. This is going to be important when you start wanting to create your own games because you want a condition like if player pushes up arrow, your character will move up. So that's what we're going to be looking at here. So let's take a look. Looks like I'm still in lesson 9, so let's jump over to lesson 11. And again, the first one is just an overview of what we are going to be talking about. Apparently I went way too far. There we go. Talking about and going over in this lesson. Let's take a look if there's any new blocks we're going to be learning. So an if statement, that's the big one we're going to be looking at. We also have equality, inequality, greater than or equal to, less than. So those math terms. Something's greater than, less than, equal to, all of that we're going to be using in this lesson. So let's continue on to the part 2. So this one gives you another code, and you need to look through it and try and figure out what's going to happen. So now we're going to be using this debug console. We're looking to see if things are true or false. Okay, so we have these commands here. You can tell they're going to go in the console log, the debug console. So we have sprite1.y equals sprite2.y. So come up here, look at your variables. We have sprite1, sprite2, look at the y's. Are they equal to? We have greater than, less than. So predict what's going to happen. You have 4 choices. Go ahead, look through them, decide which one you think is going to be the best choice. And then you do have a question. So how did your prediction compare to the results in the console? Were you close? Were you way off? Okay, so you're going to have to make sure you're understanding what a true false statement is using those Booleans we did in the last lesson. Okay, next one is a video. You have 3 questions to answer. And again, those are all on the Google Docs, so make sure you go through those. Again, giving you a little bit more explanation on what conditionals are. Now let's start trying them out. Okay, so the simplest Boolean expressions are questions that the computer can answer with true or false. Another way to say this is that the Boolean expression evaluated to true or false. Okay, now that seems a little right there, but we'll keep going. All right, can you modify the values of the sprite properties so that each of the Boolean expressions evaluates to true? Okay, so read through the entire program to see how sprite1 and sprite2 are being created and which properties are compared. Okay, and I have had students struggle with this one. So I'm going to walk through a couple of them with you. For each of the Boolean expressions, identify the sprite properties being compared and change the code in the first 11 lines only so that each of the console log statements print is true. So these top first 11 lines, that's where you're going to be changing. You are not going to change anything under where it says don't edit the following. Okay, so all of these is what we're looking for, and when we run the program, we want all of the comparisons down here to be true. Right now they are all false. Okay, so let's look at the first comparison. So sprite2x is equal to sprite2y. So let's go take a look at sprite2. Here it is. So sprite2x is equal to sprite2y. Is that true? Nope. 300 and 200 do not equal the same thing. Okay, so let's make them the same. You can change either one. I'm going to change the x just because it's the first one. So now if I reset and run again, if I look at my comparisons, comparison 1 is now true. Okay, so let's go look at comparison 2, see if we can change that one. All right, sprite2 rotation is less than 40. So let's find sprite2, find rotation is less than 40. Is 60 less than 40? Nope, that's why we're getting the false statement down here. So let's do anything less than 40. I'll do 35. Reset. Now I should have 2 true statements down here, and there they are. So keep going through. Some of them may be related to another one you've already done, so you may have to change something more than once. So keep working through these and change so all of these are equal to true. You want all these Boolean expressions to be, again, true. Okay, I think I've repeated myself enough, so let's continue on. Okay, number 5, you have some matching up. So this is like plain English, and this is kind of what the code is going to look like. All right, like here you can notice that there's 2 equal signs. So remember, 1 equal sign means gets the value of. So to show it actually equals, the coding uses 2 equal signs. Okay, same thing, there's no greater than or equal to symbol on the keyboard. So it'll be a greater than sign, the caret, followed by an equal sign, or vice versa. Okay, so is the dog sprite's rotation less than the cat sprite's rotation? So we need dog sprites. So we know we're talking about rotation. Okay, so dog dot rotation less than the cat sprite rotation. So the only one I see here dealing with rotation is dog dot rotation less than cat rotation. So that looks like the same thing. So we're going to drag it over. Okay, keep reading and figure out what all these other ones. So there's some other ones just dealing with X's, so those might be a little bit more difficult. So go ahead, see if you can figure those out. Once you get them all correct, go ahead and move on to the next level, or next part. Level part, say about the same thing. All right, back to Booleans. In the past few levels, we have been comparing values of sprites to find out whether something is true or false. So let's start putting that in context of an animation. So the program draws a race car and a finish line. Let's take a look. There goes the race car, so it has that counter program down here. We are going to figure out when the race car crosses the finish line. The sprites have all been set up, so all we need is a sprite. So add a console log statement. So it's here under variables, add the console log statement. Add a Boolean expression inside the console log, so that's going to be under math. So now you can see we have some math equation type figures there. Add a Boolean expression inside the console log that asks, is the X position of the race car less than the X position of the finish line? So I need X position in the car is less than. So I need to find the less than symbol. Here it is, and even if I put my mouse on it, it even tells me which one it is. I'm going to put that in the message. Okay, look at the output of program as the car moves. Where does the output change and why? So now I got to figure out when is that car crossing the finish line. So I'm going to move my mouse right up to that line of the finish line, and my X looks to be 80 down at the bottom. Okay, underneath show grid. Or if you want to show your grid, don't forget that's still down there. So about 75, 80 is about what we want. So we want, but what are we comparing? The X position of the race car. So I'm going to go back to sprite, find the X. Race car is what we are checking. Again, make sure you're writing the name the same as it is everywhere else. Is less than 80 is the number that we decided on, maybe 75. Somewhere in there. All right. So watch the console down below. I'm going to get rid of the grid. So right now there's nothing, so it's still false, false, false. So as soon as it starts crossing the line, we should start getting true, and there it is. Now, why did it happen so much later than when it actually crossed the line? Remember, your point of sprites, just like ellipses, is in the middle of the sprite. So you may have to do, so it's not at the front of the sprite, it's the middle. So you may have to do a little tweaking with your number if you want it to be really close. So I'm going to make it a little bit further out because we want it to happen sooner. Oops. So false. Keeps going up false, and this is a linked program where we're waiting for that to change. And closer, let's try a little bit more. And sometimes with coding, it's just trial and error to try and see what's going to happen. Should we get false and true? It's a little bit closer, so we'll take it for now and move on to the next one. Okay, number 7. Okay, more Boolean expressions. So this time we're dealing with fruit. Add a console log statement. Okay, there it is. Again, I'm doing it in the draw loop like we did last time. Add a Boolean expression inside the console log that checks whether the fruit scale is greater than 2. So go to my math, find the greater than, pull it over, and then I'm dealing with fruit scale. So let's go to sprites and go to scale. Is greater than, and our number we're already given it is 2. So let's run. Oh, what did I do? Oh, I didn't rename my sprite. Our sprite is called fruit. And reset and run. So that our fruit is growing. It's still false, false, false. So once it gets twice the actual size that it starts with, we'll see this change to true. There it goes. All right, so that's what we're looking for. So nothing's going to change up here. We're looking down here. So make sure you get parts 6 and 7 done correctly, because they are continued on later on. So if you're not right here, we're not going to be correct later on. All right, continue on. Number 8. Okay, so again, goes through your comparisons. So this is what I'm talking about. You can't have the caret with the line underneath to show greater than or less than and equal to. So this is how it's written in code. All right, so again, just a little explanation of all of them right there. Let's move on. Hit continue. All right, another video. So therefore, again, we do have another question for you to answer. When would you want to use an if statement? So make sure you are watching those videos to answer those questions. Okay, part 10. The Boolean expression you used earlier allowed us to ask questions, but in order to respond to those questions, we need to use an if statement, which is under the control section. If statements usually go inside your draw loop because we want to check them each time the loop is run. So it's checking for our race car. Okay, your race car starts here. Does it meet that condition? Is it true or false? No? Okay, it goes through the loop again. All right, does it meet it now? Does it meet it now? Does it meet it now? That's why you saw so many falses and trues in the console log earlier. All right, so the race car program you wrote earlier is loaded here for you. Add an if statement after you update the position of the race car. So after we update the position, there it is, we're going to put an if statement. Okay. Move the Boolean expression from the console log statement to the condition of the statement. So our console log here is our Boolean expression statement. I'm going to move it to the if. So now it's if the race car X is less than 125, something's going to happen. And what is that something? Inside the if statement, add a statement to draw text on the screen to say winner. So text is under drawing. I'm going to do text. And what's it going to say? It's going to say winner, an exclamation mark, why not? Okay, it's going to be way up here at 0:15. Remember, that's where the finish line is, so we may not see it too well, so I'm going to move it more to the middle. Make it down a little bit too. So we're actually going to be able to see it. All right, now you can see we have this empty console log. We have a yellow triangle. We do not need that anymore because we moved it into the if statement. So now, if the race car X is less than 125, we're going to see the text winner. So instead of seeing something down here, which is not going to show anymore because we took away the console log, we're going to see winner should show up right about here. Once it gets far enough across that finish line, and there it is. Okay, so all I did was move it from the our Boolean statement from the console log to the if statement, and then you have to tell the computer or the program what's it going to do if that condition occurs. So that's why they're called conditionals. And if you want to make that winner bigger or make it different colors so you can see it better, that's fine too. All right, so number 11, this is your assessment for this lesson. So back to our fruits. That's why I said that this is important to get it correct on part 7. So now that we know how to use if statements, you can do more than just check the apple has reached a scale of 2. You turn it to a pair once it happens. Okay, so use your conditional in the draw loop to check whether fruit scale is greater than 2. If it is, change the fruit's animation to pair. Okay, so again, you're going to create an if statement, move this in here, and then inside of the bracket for your if statement, you need to change the animation. So think about how did you set the animation. So if you want to change it, you're going to need the same set animation. So fruit will now be, instead of apple, will be a pear, okay? And then go ahead, change. Can you also make the fruit stop growing once it turns into a pear? See if you can figure that one out as well. So if I run it, oh, I didn't put my Boolean statement in there for the condition. All right, so go ahead, I will let you do that one. Complete it on your own. And then again, 12 is kind of just an understanding how if statements work. So go ahead, read through that. Hopefully it helps answer some more questions. So that's it for this week. We will see you next time. Talk to you later. Bye.